Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete for Anxiety here, the mental health podcast, breaking the stigma that mental health is talked about. Welcome in today's episode. Before we get started today, we need to cover a few things really quick. Let's talk about the Pete for Anxiety Patreon first off. It's only $1, guys. $1. What does $1 get you? $1 gets you into the exclusive episodes I am recording currently. I'm actually focusing on certain different diagnoses of things to show you guys what it actually looks like as it manifests in a person. So why not for $1, judges? Yeah, they said $1. I just checked with them too. See, they said it was okay. It was $1 anyways. Let's also talk about the Oracle Talk Radio Networks app. In case you can't be here live listening to me, watching this video, supporting the show, you can listen to it on the radio app. Why not? It connects us live to our 365 radio. Just go to your app stores and download the Oracle Talk Radio Network. You'll see the big old Oracle Talk Radio Network app logo right on there. Download it and it'll connect you to me, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, to Pete for Anxiety when I'm live doing my thing right here, informing the world and raising mental health awareness. So where are you going to be? 10 a.m. Of course. Come on. We just talked about this. Pay attention for once. Damn. Do y'all know how to listen? And as always, guys, like, follow, and share the YouTube channel. If you guys like what you're seeing, leave some comments, man. We want to know. I want to know if you like what you're on. You want to be on the show? Let me know. Hit me up at PeteVersusAnxietyPod@gmail.com. And as always, guys, enjoy the show. And by the way, did I mention to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure because some of y'all are hard of hearing in the back. May have to yell loud or get a megaphone or something. But anyways, let's get today's show started. Y'all have a great one. Enjoy. Guys, welcome into a double header of Pete versus Anxiety, the mental health podcast, breaking the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. My guest today is the one, the only, Chris Martinelli. And he's got a story too hot for TikTok, he said. So, Chris, why don't you tell him all about it, bud?
Well, yeah, I guess, there's a lot of rules on TikTok, and I can't get into details on TikTok. But anyways, real quickly, briefly, I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is an incredibly wealthy town. We were not rich. My father worked for an ultra wealthy dude, and he worked for Mr. Dewart, and we lived on Dewart Road. So it was basically, I felt a little different my entire life because everybody I lived around was incredibly wealthy and we were just normal. But I quickly found alcohol and drugs. And for a long, long time, that stuff helped and made me feel a part of, and really and truly just made me feel like it took away all the anxiety, basically. Pete versus Anxiety took away all that anxiety and made me feel like I was part of. And it worked for a really, really, really long time. But
so how bad was it? Okay, so I know you say alcohol, but how bad was your alcohol addiction? Like, give somebody a real retrospect of what a day would have been like for you. How much were you doing? Were you doing other drugs included? Things like that. Let's get to the nitty gritty because here we can talk about everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I was I initially I was drinking at night, all night. I mean, I only drank beer, but I have about 20 beers in a night, every single night. I also did a lot of ecstasy and Molly, and cocaine was also I was a big favorite of as well. But there was a tragedy. One of my best friends took his life, and I was working for him at the time, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And from that point on, I started drinking. Like my breakfast was 3 or 4 Four Locos, which I don't even know if they exist anymore, but they're
they're not as strong as they used to be. But yeah,
okay, yeah, they were energy drinks with alcohol, like high. So that was breakfast. I used to have lunch was another couple Four Locos, and then like things really started off. I lived with I was 30 at the time, and I lived with a 23-year-old who was to this day the most successful drug dealer I've ever met. He just hand over fist, and as a result, I was given free everything. Pretty much, he dealt with Molly and ecstasy, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. However, at the age of 29, I started getting arrested, and I was in. I'm from Connecticut. At the moment, I live in New York, just on the border of Connecticut, about 30 minutes from Manhattan. But I was with a girl. We were partying all the time. We'd never had a fight. I thought she was the one. We got into our very first fight, and she ran to the bathroom and took a bottle of Advil, or sorry, Tylenol, and took my razor and started slicing up her wrists. And
Oh Jesus.
I was just like, oh, like this chick is gonna fucking die on me. Like, and I'm like, I can't be here.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm a strong
Hey
believer in
Joe.
men. I'm a strong believer in yo. What's up, everybody?
Joe
Yo,
Fox says hello. He's a good
hello,
friend too.
hello. I'm a strong believer in manifestation. Like I started just wishing myself and seeing myself someplace else. And out of nowhere, my godmother called, who lived in Bellevue, Washington, right across from Seattle, and asked me how I was doing. And I was like, "Yo, I'm either jumping out this window or I'm pushing this bitch out the window. Things are awful." And
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Given you're already dealing with your loss of your friend, you're drinking a
yes,
lot, and then you're piling all the drugs on, and then this shit's going on. Like,
and
wow.
so literally, she goes, "Hop in the car and come live with us." And they were the heir to the Coca-Cola bottling company fortune.
Oh, okay.
My godfather inherited $40 million when he was 17.
Damn.
And So he was like my hero. He didn't work, so he was always around. He was funny. Like he didn't he I mean, you wouldn't think he had money until you went to his house. He was not, I mean, he was just he was the best guy that I knew, and he was
Yeah.
always one of my heroes. And He actually, when he was a child, his father took his life in front of the entire family at the dinner table. So
Holy shit. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. He in front of the whole family at the dinner table. Holy shit, bro.
he invited everybody in to have dinner. They had a huge. I mean, they were wealthy. They had a huge dinner table, and there was four kids on top of the wife and the help, and he blew his brains out
Jesus.
in front of everybody. And The tragedy I was talking about was my godfather, who was my hero. He could not, like, he had all the money in the world, but he couldn't stop spending. It was like he owned nine different racehorses. They all cost like $1 million, and he couldn't do anything with them because basically you need to spend all the time in the world with that one, and he has nine, and he couldn't do anything with it. And essentially, he took off a license. He knew he was going to do this, but he took off a life insurance policy that after 17 years you could commit suicide and it would pay out. And he shot himself in the heart. 17 years in one day. He had been waiting to do this. And that was the tragedy that got me to really just delve into alcohol and drugs. I couldn't process it.
Yeah.
I remember I mean, I was working for him, and he was happy, he was laughing. I mean, he was in all obviously in an incredible amount of pain. But uh I was
Jesus, man.
living out there, and it was really surreal. I watched as like the family like fell apart afterwards. I was living with them, and I like he had four kids and a wife, and I watched basically all their worlds crumble. And I really couldn't. I mean, they inherited a ton of money because he did what he did, but I mean, it wasn't like they didn't want the money, they wanted him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, man. That's rough, man. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. That's fucking crazy.
It was
Especially
tough.
because he was your one person you really were he was your really go-to person, you know? And that's hard, man, when you lose people, especially when they do stuff like that, because it's like, like you said, a lot of them are just so happy-go-lucky, and they're all showing no signs of anything. If you're not really paying attention, you don't notice the signs of that something's wrong. And it's crazy because it reminds me of the guy I had on, Brian. His friend was in the
Mhm.
same situation. He was in position to make changes to like the just currency in general all over. He's going to make some big advancement, and all of a sudden, he said that his friend had ended up killing himself too. And it goes to say that, just because you have money doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong with you upstairs. So you think about it, from that aspect, is that this guy had everything going for him, just like, he did, had all that money. This guy is making changes, and all of a sudden he's chosen to do this. And it affected him pretty bad. Like, just like you were telling us, he was doing the same thing. And that's the guy I was telling y'all about that came on the show. and had told us about his suicidal ideations he had that morning before we started recording. He had told me like maybe 30 minutes into the show, he just started going into a tangent, and I was just let him go because he felt like he needed to get it out there. So I was like, I let him get it out there. Like once we started going,
Absolutely.
you could tell he felt a hell of a lot better once he got that thought out of his head, and he said he struggles weekly with it too. And I talk to him all the time. And I tell you not, as soon as that episode finished, I had about 40 people texting me going, "Oh shit, is he still alive?"
Yo, I'm telling you, yo, it's very, very surreal. It really is very, very
Mm-hmm.
surreal. Like when I mean, I remember the last thing he told me. Like I remember just randomly, he was like, Chris, life can be good. And I'm thinking, what do you like? Life can be good. Your life is amazing. Clearly, it wasn't for him, and he did a good job of masking that. But
Yeah.
the ultimately, as a result of that, I delved deeper and deeper into drugs and alcohol. And I mean, I'm sure people. I don't know anybody that drank or drugged more than I did. I'm sure there are plenty of people that do, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
was
get that. You're not speaking for other people. You're just
no. It just
retrospectively it hit you that hard, man. But I could see that though, brother, man. It's hard when you lose that person, that one person that you idolize, and they just like it's you're trying. Then you start trying to figure out what it is exactly they were thinking, and now you
it's
remember the last thing he said to you, haunting you now because it replays in your head over and over again, and that's you hear him telling you that.
especially when it's so contradictory to the way you like think about somebody. I mean, like life could be good. Come on, life is amazing, but just because it looks like it doesn't mean that's. I mean, looks can be very deceiving, and
Exactly.
that's exactly what the case was. And ultimately, I chose not to deal with like I didn't end up talking to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I just drank and drugged, and I started getting arrested at the age of 29.
Yeah.
Um, and I was in Seattle, and I got arrested 5 separate times for drunkenly disorderly act, like no violence, but drunk stuff. And my fifth court date, they gave me the option. They said, you can either go to jail, or you can get the fuck out of here, man. Like, we don't want you here anymore. And, I called my sister, and I was out. I was back in Connecticut at the time, um, because I was not going to jail. However, that really didn't stop anything because I continued drinking, and I drank myself into a blackout, got behind the wheel of a car, fell asleep, and drove headfirst into a Dodge Durango when I was in a Nissan Altima. So I was in a tiny little car, went headfirst into a huge car going 40 miles an hour. Um, Paramedics got there, called me in DOA, called for a coroner's van. My car was
Yeah.
absolutely destroyed. Um, my car caught on fire. I started pounding on the windows. They used the jaws of life to get me out. Um, I could not talk. I was in shock, I guess, but they kept on telling me to stop moving. They were like, "Don't move, don't move. Your ankles, your feet, your ankles, your knees, your legs, your hips, your pelvis. You've shattered them all, and we may have to amputate your legs." And I couldn't talk, but I knew I hadn't broken anything.
Thank
I
you,
mean,
Joe.
I knew I hadn't broken anything. And yeah, Joe, shout out to Joe. Thank you.
He said, "God bless you, brother."
Oh,
That
thank you so
that's
much.
I know that's okay. So that's what you were talking about when you were saying the accident. You couldn't really because obviously TikTok censors everything because they don't like adult words. So that's
Yes.
what you were referencing, were you? That's
Yes.
insane, dude.
Yeah.
Was that when
Honestly,
was that when you had the reality check of like, hey man, this life ain't working for me?
yes, yes. And after that, because the person I hit broke their ankle and broke their wrist, I was charged with second degree vehicular assault, which is a felony. I spent the next 18 months going to court, and eventually I was sentenced to 5 years. Now, I had an incredible lawyer, and I got out after 4 months.
Yeah.
However, I will tell you, jail is no place to be. And I was in a county jail level 4, so it was like a high security level, no contact visits, and it was absolutely miserable. It wasn't scary. I'm like everybody sees what's on TV, and it wasn't like that, but it was depressing as shit. Everybody knew everybody in there. Everybody had been there 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Um, we had break once, and we were watching TV, and Barack Obama came on the television, and this like 70-year-old African American gentleman tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Well, no, but they don't call you by your name. They call you they everybody. They don't call you by your government, is what they say." So he called me Neo because he said I thought they thought I looked like Keanu Reeves from The Matrix. Anyways, he said, "Neo, I was sitting in this very chair when they announced JFK was shot." And I'm like, dude, that was 1963. How many times you been to jail? And he's like, "Yo, I like to stay drunk all the time, so I don't know." And I'm like, maybe you shouldn't stay drunk all the time. Like, you
Somebody
can't.
want somebody would ask you a question, man. It's like orange is the new black, male version is what somebody said.
Like oranges and yo, except we did I had a
Except for with high security, you were saying though.
It
So
was
you could,
high secure. There were no contact visits. But
yeah,
we weren't in cells. We were in, like, it looked like a big gym with super high roof, and there were just four bunk beds, like,
you guys are probably in
per
pods. Then you
per
probably were more than likely in pods, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
There were no the only time they put you in a cell was when you went to the medical to get like medication or anything, and I do not like being locked up. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. It like And you're in there with a bunch of people,
yeah.
and like everybody, because they've all been there before. Like, I swear to God, I don't know if you've seen my cousin Vinny, but he keeps on
Yeah.
getting in contempt, and like finally he's like, "Yeah, just let me stay in jail. Like, maybe I'll get some good night's sleep." Well, that's what it's like, dude. Nonstop screaming, fucking people just. I mean, continuously cursing out the guards, the COs, making fun of them, and during all this, they don't turn the lights out, and because the etiquette there is that you have three toilet bowls with no dividers, but it's called drop and flush. So every time you take a shit, you gotta. And I swear to God, it's like an airplane bathroom. So throughout the night, it was just a cacophony of like, it was so fucking loud. No lights turned out. I stayed up. I couldn't fall asleep for 14 days. I went from 155 pounds to 130 pounds. Um, and finally I fell asleep. And when I finally fell asleep, I guess my body adjusted and settled in, because um, from that
Boot.
point on,
Okay,
I was
so
able to sleep.
Matt has a question for you. He said bootleg liquor and cigarettes in jail, or was security hard?
No, okay. So okay, no cigarettes whatsoever. Drugs, yes. And they say mother is the necessity of all invention. And so I like first of all, I was big into drugs, but let me tell you, I knew how they got there. They got there because they came up somebody's ass, or somebody swallowed it in a pill and then threw up in a toilet and then picked it out. So I chose to do no drugs. But um people would smoke pot, and what they would do is they would take a paper clip, and they would take a Q-tip and spray it with hairspray, and they would stick the Q-tip and the paper clip in a electrical socket, and instantly it would poof right up in jail. And they would use that to smoke, and then they had a sock filled with deodorant that they would slam on the ground, so it would so literally they had everything planned out. And I just chose not to partake, because first of all, I can't imagine a more uncomfortable place to be high.
Matt said he'd like to know if you get apples to smoke out of.
They honestly, I never smoked out of it, but yes, that's what they used, was the apple. Take out the core, not the core, but take out the stem, put a hole down the top, put a hole in the side, and that's what they used. They just
Yeah.
they used the electricity to start the fire, and then the sock with the soap in it to get rid of the smell. But I had I like they kept on moving me around, and like my bunkie, he it was a county jail. It was not meant to be a long-term holding facility, but
Yeah.
he had a tag on that said August 11th, 2012, and I was like, it was January 2015. So he had been sitting there, laying there, wasting away for 3 years, and he showed me his papers, and his papers showed his court date being 2022. So he had
Yeah.
like he was looking at 15 years to life, and he had to stay in jail for about 10 years before court started. And every morning he'd wake up and be like, "Yo, Bunky, life is good. Life is good. Like, God is good. Life is." And he had two kids that he had never met. Only they'd come and visit him every week. But he never met them. Like, I mean, he never like was able to hold them. They were just his kids, and like he was waiting to get out of jail to find to get to meet him. Hopefully,
Yeah.
depending on how his course theme went. But on top of that, there was this dude. There was this dude, Tiny, and Tiny was the biggest dude I've ever seen. And Tiny was there because he killed his family. And I didn't even know this, but I was standing near him, and some guy asked him, he said, "Yo, Tiny, why'd you kill your family?" And he just said, "Because they were home." And I was like, "Yo, that's it. I'm staying away from this dude because they were home. That's enough for me, man." Um, and so it was a long 4 months. It was supposed to be 3 months. I'm not saying, I know a lot of people do a lot of like serious time, but as far as I'm concerned, 4 months was way too long.
Well,
And
okay. So during the time that you're there, what was your mental health state like? Like you had to be going crazy, man, because the isolation, you're
yo,
not seeing anybody, you can't talk to nobody. Can they send you letters and stuff, or is that not even allowed
yeah,
either?
you can get letters, you can talk on the phone. Luckily, and this is another story, but I was dating this woman who forgot to tell me she was married. Um, and she she had money, and so she would fill up this phone card, and I was able to talk to her like 2 to 3 hours a day. So that was like a huge boon, a huge help in terms of the mental health like
Yeah.
aspect, because because of the car accident, I suffered a traumatic brain injury. And
Yeah.
the 18 months prior to me going to jail, I was in the hospital, learning how to walk again, learning how to talk again, um, learning how to think again. I could literally feel,
Basically things people take for granted, really, honestly.
yeah, everything I took for granted. Honestly, it disappeared. It went away. I never knew what anxiety was before that, and all of a sudden I was like inundated and overwhelmed with it, and I
Yeah.
would have panic attacks all the time. Um, when that wasn't happening, I was depressed and like staying in bed for days at a time, which is depressing in itself.
Yeah.
And really just uh pretty difficult
Well,
time.
the other thing too is like, now that you find out about Tiny and he killed his family, you weren't worried about it at some point this dude may snap and just come after anybody else?
He
You
was
had to be
okay.
thinking
so
that. You
so
had to
here's
be
the, I,
thinking
I
that at
did
one
I
point.
did
Am I
no
not
I,
right?
I did think that. The thing with county jail is where they hold you while you're going to court or while you're being transferred to prison.
Yeah.
Okay. I was expecting to be transferred to prison every single morning. Everybody there would be like, "Oh my God, please, I hope I get sent to prison today." And I'm thinking, like, why the fuck would you want to go to prison? But apparently, you have like there was nothing in this county jail. It was just a big fucking, like, there was nothing. Um, and in prison, you've got a library, you've got computers, you've got television, real television, you've got a gym. And so while I was unaware of all this, I mean, everybody was just itching to go to prison, and
Yeah.
I was kind of, and so anyways, Tiny did get removed, and that was a big relief to me, because I'll tell you, it made me very uncomfortable just to be anywhere near him. I didn't want to,
Yeah, because you didn't want to
didn't
trigger
didn't
him
want
for
to set
something to
him
happen.
off.
Yeah, I get that.
Exactly, man, exactly. And I met people I just didn't I didn't think existed, and I don't even know how to say this other than there was this dude Sugar Bear, and he was talking about, he's like, yo, when I get out, I got my girl. I got my girl. She buys me drawers. She buys me socks. She buys me booze. He's like, yo, she wears a size 48. And I didn't even know what that means. But all the dudes in there, all the black guys in there were like, God damn, 48. So apparently this was a big, big woman. He's like, oh yeah,
She's
she
very
big.
robust, as they
She
like to
big.
say.
And he's like, and you know what? He's like, and this is another guy. This was common. I stay drunk all the time. I stay drunk all the time. And he said, I knocked her up and I got a knock at the door, and I actually thought it was the police, because I stay drunk all the time. Anyways, it was the State Department of Child Welfare,
Oh
and
God.
they were like, "We're here because you have impregnated so and so, and she has Down syndrome." And
Oh.
he goes to me, and you know what? I never noticed it, but I started thinking. There was a couple things she did. I made a pot of spaghetti and a full thing of iced tea, and the bitch drank it all. And I thought that's something a
What
handicapped person would do. And I'm like, oh my god.
what the hell? No.
I swear to God, he's
No,
like,
that's
I never
great.
noticed it, but he was like, then I started thinking, and she had a little bit of a flat face. I like, again, I'm not making fun of anybody,
No, you just
with,
say what he said.
but
That's all. I
the
mean, really.
way it was said, I couldn't even believe it. And people asked, like, well, what happened to the baby? He was like, oh, my sister, is raising it, and they were like, well, and they were like, how's she doing? They were like, and he said, she does really, really well. And they were like, yeah, you put two retards together and you get a genius over here. Because I mean, Sugar Bear told me, he said, yo, you may not know about, you don't know me. You may know of me. Yo, I've been spinning Michael Jackson records before Michael Jackson was famous. Michael Jackson was famous at 5 years old, man. You can't be spinning his records before they're he was just a trip, and he wouldn't stop talking. He would not stop talking. Yo, everybody out there,
That's
hopefully you're
awesome.
enjoying this.
That's
Hopefully
awesome.
you're enjoying this, man. It was absolutely a trip.
Oh, I bet it
And
was.
um and the other surreal thing was, okay, when Dancing with the Stars came on, the jail stopped. They like that was the number one show other than Empire. Like Dancing with Stars, the entire prison was or jail was quiet, and they were focused on Dancing with the Stars. I, I first of all, and it was the only show you could hear.
Yeah.
Everything else, people were fucking obnoxiously loud, talking, yada yada yada. And with Dancing with the Stars, it was like you could hear a pin drop. Everybody was enamored with this show, which I thought was pretty fucking funny. Another one of those things. Hell yeah, it's awesome, man. Sub bros. Yo, thank you, man, so much. Honest to God. I don't recommend any. I recommend, if you're gonna go out and drink, have a good time. Use an Uber, use a Lyft. Don't do what I did. It literally, I lost my license for 10 years. I just got it back. This past August, is when I got my license back, and that was from 2013. So it actually it was 12 years that I lost my license. I drive
Yeah.
now, but I have to use a Intoxilock thing every time I start my
Oh, the
car. I've got
breathalyzer
a
in your car? Yeah.
breathalyzer, and it goes off like every 15 minutes, which is a fucking pain in the ass. Um, and I'll tell you another slightly funny story. Like they give you no time to eat, no time to eat, and breakfast every morning is 6 packets of sugar, grits, and a piece of cake. So it's fucking
Yeah.
like diabetes. Um, and I mean, if you're in there for a long time, you can't stay healthy. But the another surreal aspect of this was at 6 p.m. every night, my bunkie would pound on my bunk. He was on the bottom and be like, "Yo, bunkie, it's tea time." And anytime, every night we would have green tea with a bunch of sugar in it. So it was like it tastes not green but mint, spearmint tea. And so 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock was tea time. And anytime I hear somebody bring up tea, all I can think about is jail, which is not generally what you think about when you think about tea time, but it's the only time I've ever had tea.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, so TikTok, how did TikTok come into the picture, man? Like how did you start out?
Okay.
Because
Oh,
with your anxiety and all the panic and things like that, it had to be nerve wracking as hell just in the beginning because you hit go live and that's it. You're on the internet now. Everybody can
mhm.
see you, and like you're sitting there, your heart's gonna be racing because you're like, well, is anybody gonna come in? And the thoughts in your head will
Yeah,
start racing. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Before I found TikTok, when I got out of jail and I couldn't get a job, I found an app called Live Me.
Yep, I know what that is too.
Okay, and I got started there, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I had an immensely lucky experience, and I started trending. And anyway, I ended up with
Yeah,
85,000 fans and made 41 million diamonds, which is the equivalent of $410,000. However, that's not money I got to keep. It was the app was way different than TikTok.
yeah,
TikTok actually like it takes care of my asset, like it really supplants my SSDI, which I'm on because of the brain injury. And I've been on SSDI or disability for 11 plus years. Um and it's and life is a struggle. I was out of the house when I was 23, living on my own, and at the age of 35, I had to move back home, which was incredibly humbling. And, you know, it's the last place in the world I thought I was going to be. And it was something I had to accept because
yeah,
as like, I make 1,300 bucks a month and I live in New York. You can't afford a studio apartment, let alone any food or anything like that. So, um, when I was on Live Me started going slow. I had been on there for
yeah,
about 5.5 years, and people started moving on over to TikTok. And
yeah,
so I went over there initially. I didn't like it. The matches were 5 minutes long. I had nobody in my broadcast. It was really slow, and which made it really anxiety provoking because
yeah.
again, like my heart starts pounding. Um, I do have medication, but again, like I'm not a huge fan of medication. I like people need it, and I do need it, but
Have you looked
I
at like
I
alternative medicines?
I gotta be oh, that's the thing. I've got to be careful because like I have a propensity to overindulge in almost anything, and these are medications that can be abused. I mean, I'm on Adderall, I'm on Clonopin, I'm on Soma. All of these things, if you take enough of them, will make you feel really good or really.
Yeah, but that's my question. Though. Have you looked at alternatives like mushrooms and things like that to probably kind of
I am
sub?
a huge the mushroom thing. Okay, I met somebody on Live Me who turned out to be a mushroom cultivator, and
Hmm.
I am a huge proponent of psilocybin in micro doses and macro doses.
Yeah,
I mean, the micro doses help immensely with anxiety and depression. The macro doses help with depression as well, and just help make you have a happy time.
yeah.
Like
So
it,
you
it
get off some of
makes
those
you.
medications because I can only imagine what the list of side effects you have are listed from all those medications you just listed off.
Oh, and I'm on Vibrant and Libaldi,
That's what I'm
and
saying.
I mean, like, I have a cocktail of medications, and
Uh,
if I was in a state where they had like, if I mean, in DC, mushrooms are legal. You can get the chocolates, you can get whatever it is you want. And I'm looking to get out of New York. It's too fucking expensive, especially when you're on SSDI. TikTok again does help, but I can do TikTok anywhere, and it doesn't have to
yeah.
be the most expensive place. And my disability would not go down even if the cost of living went down. So that's a huge thing. That's something we're looking at. This thing right here, all you can see is the background, but this is like the basement, and it's rather large. the house is basically everything we have, and we're renovating this basement to sell the house so we can, get live a
Where you got
little bit
any
better.
plans where you're going though? You have any idea what state you want to go to?
Honestly, it's going to take at least a year, but the research I've been doing has been, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, anywhere Asheville, Tennessee,
Yeah.
um, someplace like not Florida. It's just
I know you lived in Texas at one point. You wouldn't reconsider coming
I
back to
I
Texas? I
lived in
mean,
Austin, Texas. You know what? I would absolutely live in Austin, Texas again. The one caveat being, it's not even medical anymore. I was a medical marijuana patient for like half a decade, and then they made it recreationally legal. And again, it cost money to be a medical marijuana patient, so I stopped being a medical marijuana. I just smoke now. And the
well, you
issue with Austin, Texas, is it's right next to Mexico, and the weed there was the worst. And that's something like I literally that it calms me down.
we can always
It
look at Dallas Fort Worth there. You're closer to Oklahoma right there by the border.
That and I'd have to look to see if Oklahoma is like if it's legal there, because
It is.
it is. Okay, so exactly. I'm looking to move south someplace where you get a bunch of sunny and warm days. It doesn't get too cold,
Oh
and
well, you already know what it's like in Texas. It gets hot as hell down here for us.
but it also snows, or like it gets like I've been hearing it's freezing like in some.
Don't say snow. Okay, we've got
No,
whatever it looks like snow the last few days here, and it's just been like it's cold. Like the wind is cold. Like I'm from Chicago originally, the Chicagoland area originally.
okay.
I could tell you it is about as cold as that. These people are like, it's cold outside. I went outside. Now I'm telling you it's cold. It's cold because I'm used to like below, zero and then below that, like 5 below, 10 below with the wind chill and
Yeah,
everything else. You know what I mean? Like the coldest I've ever experienced was 30 below zero. And I never want to do that ever again in my life. That was Colorado. And it was just like, holy crap.
that sounds miserable. Yeah, I'm doing
Without wind
everything.
chill.
Yeah,
Mind you,
yeah.
without wind chill. It was
The wind,
horrible, man. It was horrible.
the wind chill kills it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
look,
like,
Matt said, come to Utah.
yo, Utah, yo,
Here, right there.
Utah, to be honest, Utah is not out of my radar. I've got another friend that is on there. So glad you're still here. This is a reason we all met for sure. Yo, viciously twisted. God bless you. Thank you so much for being on. I really, really, really appreciate it. I don't know how much you've caught of this, but
It's been the
um,
whole time.
I've been anxious, and I'm not sure if I'm doing this the right way.
Nope,
I don't know
nope.
how to. I don't
You're
know.
fine. It's just what it
So
is, man. It's just a conversation. It's just like TikTok.
exactly. But that means that's a yes. Well, and I'm a huge believer in manifestation.
Mhm.
Like like your attitude dictates your reality. If you expect
Exactly.
bad, if you do nothing but worry about what's going to happen next, and this is going to go wrong and that's going to go wrong, chances are you're going to have a lot of things to worry about and things that go wrong. But if you just expect good things regardless of what's going on, you might not be in a good situation, but you just continue to tell yourself like things
Oh
are going to
God,
get
listen.
better, things are going to get better. Dude,
Twisted said Indiana, bro.
Indiana, yes, but didn't you tell me it was like below 3 degrees the other day there?
There's a lot of snow in Indiana, man. You got to consider there's a lot of snow in Indiana.
See, she said there was not a lot of snow. So in like Indiana, would be definitely much less expensive. I seriously and viciously twisted. We need to do a road trip. And thank you so much for being here, really and truly. God bless you.
No, 100%. This is how Marty is too. When you ever meet him online, if you're not on TikTok, go fucking check him out on TikTok. This guy's awesome. He's
Man,
100% the same person all day, every day. This is what he does all day. And you're doing
that's
fine, man. This is, like I said, it's a podcast. It's just like being on TikTok, but we're on a different scale. We're being seen all around the world, heard around the world. People can hear
no,
you as
and I think
far as
that's I
Australia and
think
beyond at this point. So
I
anybody that's
think
listening to this, go check out Chris Martinelli. He goes by Martinelli on TikTok. Go tell him you saw him on Pete vs. Anxiety. He'd love to have it.
Please do. Please do. Martinelli. Type it into TikTok. You will find me.
You'll see his big smiling face right in the circle.
Usually I am smiling, and I try
That's
to have
it.
this.
We're all moving, she said.
We're all moving. Hey, and the plan of the camper. We need to really flesh that out because I want to rent a camper and go, if not cross country, around the country and pick up people that we've met on TikTok and do some broadcasting from the
Oh yeah,
camper.
that's what's up though.
I think that would be amazing.
Yeah. So
Um,
why don't you tell them a little bit about your idea for your podcast you want to do? You
okay,
give a
so
little
here's
taste
my
of it.
So my new my the idea for my podcast, I've already bought the domain name www.jailtales.com, and what I'd like to do is essentially take over, not take over, but switch over with in Pete's role and have the guests be all ex-felons and essentially tell their ridiculous and 40 below in Michigan with windshield. Jesus.
Anybody that's
Yeah, I can't.
watching this, you're listening to the audio side. We have somebody just commented that's -40 in
I
Michigan.
yeah, no, stay away from, I will be staying away from Michigan entirely.
Oh no.
That's
That
no joke.
that lake effect snow? Hell no. But anyways, back to what you're talking about. Tell them all about the prison story idea.
So essentially, like, there are more. I mean, if you're a felon, it's hard to get housing, it's hard to get a job. And more than likely, if you've been to jail for any like period of time, you've witnessed and seen and experienced the absurd and the ridiculous and, like, sometimes the hysterical. And my idea is to like, just basically do what Pete's doing, except discuss people with what it was like when they were in jail, the people they met, and the stories that everybody has. Like, I mean, like I said, I've got the story about I met the sugar bear who impregnated the handicapped woman, and he had no idea she was handicapped. Like, the stories like that, they, like, I mean, people that I can't even believe exist. Um, I there was another guy I met. He was like, "Tomorrow's my birthday," and I'm like, "Oh, that's sweet, dude." In jail, he's like, "Yeah, I spent the last 3 years in jail on my birthday." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "I like to get high. I hate cocaine. I just love the way it smells." And I'm like, "Yo, dude, like, just ridiculous, just ridiculous. I hate cocaine. I just love the way it smells."
That's a t-shirt idea right there with the show logo on the back of it.
That
Oh my
that's
god.
not a bad idea. That's not a
I
bad idea.
suggested to Marty, I told him you should ask them for different prison recipes. Like I can't remember what that guy's name is. DZ, the one you always see on there. He's always talking to his bunkie about making all these crazy concoctions he comes up with. And he
Oh
shows
my
you how he's
god.
making them. He's using like coffee creamer for like 90% of them. Like he's the MacGyver. He kind of
Yo,
reminds me of that show with Tracy Morgan, the one where he gets out of prison
I,
and he starts the food truck.
a funny. Okay, another pretty funny story. The day I got out of jail, my mom,
The
like, I
donut
was,
dances and no censoring. Yeah, it's true.
the day I got out of jail, my mom took me out to eat, and as soon as I finished, I stood up and I grabbed, like, the bread bowl and I started stuffing bread in my pants pockets. Yo, come to Boston. I'm not too far from Boston, because every time, like, you finish lunch or dinner, you would try to bring extra food into, where the main cell, not cells, but the main your main living areas were. And I remember my mom just took a look at me. She see me watching me stuff bread in my pockets and be like, "Chris, what is wrong with you?" But that's what I learned. Yo, if it was an orange, if it was bread, you stuffed it in your pants, in your pocket, if you could, and tried to get it through. A lot of the times it didn't work. They get you, but every once in a while you can move something through. And then there were the guys that worked in the kitchen. You had to wake up at 3 in the morning if you wanted to work at the kitchen, but you could steal food. And I remember one of my bunkies came back right after, like, breakfast, sticks his hand down his pants, pulls out a saran wrap thing filled with chicken, and he starts selling these crotch chickens to people for ramen
You said
noodles.
crotch chickens.
It is crotch chicken. It is crotch chicken. It
It's
came
just
from it.
listen. It's just well seasoned, my man. Let's call it what it is.
Oh, it
Well
is
seasoned.
ultra seasoned, really and truly. Um,
It's just a little
like,
dickish when you say
yeah, it is something else, man. It is something else.
it
But
gives a new meaning to Mrs. Dash.
yeah,
Oh my god, that's
God
awesome.
bless, man. Yo, everybody, thank you so much for
Oh,
for
look, Matt
you know,
says yummy.
yummy. Yeah, crotch chicken. Trust me. You've not lived till you've had a nice fillet of crotch chicken, and Connecticut is one of those like they, you know how the South has stand your what is it, stand your guard or
Yeah,
like
stand your ground. I think it's stand your ground.
stand your
Yeah.
ground. Connecticut has a turn and run law, whereas if you are not directly, like if there's not a loaded gun pointed at your head, you have to turn around and run. And this guy had two people break into his house, try to rob him, and he stabbed one of them, and he got 5 years for defending himself against two people that broke into his house. So again, you know, steer clear of shady people. There are a lot of great people. Let me just tell you, TikTok. That's it. You're making crotch chicken. Yo, you gotta throw Martinelli in there. Martinelli's crotch chicken.
There you go. See, that's what you
Like,
can call it, Martinelli's crotch chicken.
yo, we shake for that. We shake for the
Oh
Martinelli.
god.
Oh yes, Martinelli's crotch chicken. There we go. Um. Anyways, when I got out of jail, it was
It'd
18
be
months
yeah, it'd be
before.
something new though. You know, it'd be
Oh,
something really new. RX Rocky, how you doing? How's it going? You
what's
know,
up, RX baby?
you know what? Is that what it said? RX. Oh my god, here we go. Can't wait for the recipe book coming soon.
Martinelli's jail dish. Yes, yes. Martinelli's
Oh, you should call it One Night with Martinelli. There you go. That's it. Done.
one night with Martinelli. Yo, you're giving me all sorts of
And then
ideas
the
for
synopsis would be like spend one night with Martinelli in his jail cell, fine dining restaurant or some shit, you know? Just something like that. Play off the words
I
and
could
shit.
set it up like, you know, those like smash rooms where everybody goes in to like just like blow off steam. I could just have a bunk set up. I'll be there, and you can have tea time with me, and we can discuss life and all sorts of things, because that's what everybody like. Religion was continue like, I don't talk about religion. I believe in God. I believe it's not me, and I believe that like there's a higher power, 100%. But I don't know, like, and like, it doesn't matter what God you believe in, what color you are, who you
Sure.
love, your politics. None of that matters to me. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. The people, and they come in
Well,
all colors, shapes,
let's take
sizes.
it this way, man. Something has you still here. Like in that car crash, I don't know. The odds are that you should have made it out of it, honestly. The way you described it, the way you hit it, the way it was on fire. Like
Oh
there was
man,
somebody looking out for you, man.
I honest to God, I believe my godfather, who shot himself like the years prior. I think he was looking out for me, because if I hadn't fallen asleep, which I was hammered. I had a .38 BAC, which is almost like dead. Um, and like, all I had to do is if I hadn't fallen asleep and I pushed the brake down, I would have lost my leg or legs, because there was nothing left to the front of the car, like nothing at all. And
That's gonna be the name of the recipe, by the way, Vicious. That's gonna be the name of his recipe in the book, by the way. It's what's gonna call it. It's gonna be
crotch
Martin.
chicken with
It's gonna
this.
Martinelli's crotch chicken with special cheese. There you go.
Yo,
Boom.
and the cheese. If you're interested in the crotch chicken, forget about it. The cheese was even better. That was sometimes not wrapped in saran wrap. That sometimes was you had to pick hairs off of that. I'm telling you, jail is dirty. The one thing I didn't do, like, the entire time, like, because I was going to AA before I went to jail, and they were like, dude, just don't shave. There's a lot of Hep C and HIV in jail,
Yeah.
and honest to God, and like, I know we're almost up, and I'll leave you with this.
No, you're
Okay,
good. You still got time.
90% of the people in jail shave their heads, and you get a razor, and it's like a one blade razor, and after they shave their head, they put a several paper towels on top of it and just walk around bleeding. All like, I mean, it's just horrendous. They have these white hats of blood on their head from shaving their heads. And so I did not shave. I did not cut my hair. And they went from calling me Neo because I looked like Keanu Reeves in Matrix to calling me the Wolf Man because I looked burly as fuck. I looked like Wolverine. I had and I spent a lot of time combing out my beard. Um, which was close to yours. It wasn't quite. It didn't have quite the
I
length,
used
but
to have a full on beard for a while. I have
it
to
was.
see if I can find a picture for y'all, but it was like full on, just like mane.
Yes, exactly. That's
Kind of
that.
full
That.
lion's mane going there. It was
And the
big for a
other
while.
thing that was crazy was I'd never let my hair grow that long, but dude, it started turning red. Like the Irish in me started showing up in my beard. It was black and brown, and then like there were definitely red spots, which was made. I mean, it was news to me. I never had been in there.
Good. I'm making
I'm
the
making the
merch.
merch.
There
Yo,
we go.
Martinelli's crotch chicken. The
Oh
merch is
my god,
here.
yes. There you go.
And
So you have to slap some logos of mine in the back of them too. We can sell those.
yes, yes, and I got to
Guys,
work
seen
on
on Pete
yo
for Anxiety, trademarking it all now.
viciously twisted. We got to work on the logo. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but we got to work on the logo. P versus anxiety. I hate to do this, but I have to run upstairs and use the restroom.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap up then, buddy. Let's wrap
Yes,
up this episode of Peace for Anxiety. Martinelli, thank you so much for coming in. It was great. It was a great conversation. I think, like I said, man, it was really insightful. I think a lot of people learned a lot of things, man. And people that
I
see this
hope.
are going to see some shit.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope it makes some people think twice about getting behind the wheel while they're drunk. Because honestly, with Uber and Lyft, you can save yourself 10 years of misery.
Right.
And that's if you don't. I mean, I could have killed somebody. I was so lucky that what happened was just a broken ankle and a broken wrist. I mean, if I could have really seriously injured somebody or killed somebody and still be locked up right now.
Yeah.
So I am truly blessed. I'm gonna piss my pants, so I am gonna go. But God bless
All
you,
right,
brother.
guys. I'm wrapping up, guys. So you can cut off. Chris, I got this. Anyways, guys, you know where to find me. Pete First Anxiety and pretty much everything. Facebook, X, TikTok, everywhere else you wanted me to be. And as I always say, it costs absolutely nothing. Nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you can do can save somebody's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete First Anxiety saying, don't ask how your day is. Ask how your mental health is today.